Hello friends, here I bring you the summary of the chapter Landscape of the Soul, written by Nithali Trevroy. Landscape of the Soul by Nithali Trevroy discusses the differences between the Western and Chinese styles of painting. She uses two interesting stories to introduce these styles. First, she talks about the last painting done by Chinese master painter Wu Daozi. Wu Daozi lived in the 8th century. His last painting was commissioned by Emperor Xuanzong on the Tang dynasty. Daozi painted a wonderful landscape on a palace wall. The painting was hidden behind a screen so that only the emperor could see it. The emperor admired the forest, the mountains, and the waterfalls with clouds. One day, Daozi told the emperor that a spirit resided in the painting. He pointed towards a cave in the painting. Daozi then proceeded into the cave to show the way, but the painting closed behind him. Daozi and the painting vanished before the emperor's very eyes could see. In the second anecdote, Trevroy narrates the story of a master blacksmith called Quentin Matsys. Quentin fell in love with a painter's daughter, but the painter would not accept him on account of his profession. So, Quentin snuck into the painter's studio one day and painted a fly on his latest panel. The painting was so real that the master could believe it to be a real fly. He became the master's disciple and married his beloved. Having narrated these stories, Trevroy now details the painting traditions behind them. The Western traditions rest on the creating a perfect imitation of the actual world. A Western figurative painting recreates the landscape as the artist sees it from a specific angle. The Chinese tradition does not rest on a single viewpoint. Rather, the viewer can enter the painting from any angle. This is so because a Chinese painting is a path to a higher spiritual plane rather than what is shown on the canvas. This is called conceptual space. The landscape of the painting mirrors the landscape of the soul. A Chinese painting requires an active participation from the viewers, especially when it is a horizontal scroll style of painting. When the viewer scrolls down the painting, he creates multiple views, not fixed. Rather, it shows the different landscapes as the reader moves from the beginning to the end. This is called sanshui. Two words, mountain and water, symbolizes the two complementary poles of yin and yang. Yin and yang are the central to the Taoist view of the universe. The mountain is yang, which reaches towards the heaven, and The water is yin, which rests on the earth. The harmonious interaction between the two energies in is one of the fundamental philosophies of Taoism. But the writer emphasizes on a third element which is overlooked in the general discussions on Taoist philosophy. This third element is the middle void, where the interactions between yin and yang occurs. We find a parallel of this concept in the Indian yogic practice of pranayam. The void is reflected in the white unpainted space of Chinese painting. In human term, man becomes the void, the conduit between the universe and the earth. He is the eye of the landscape who can make sense of the landscape and become an essential presence inside of it if so desires. A French painter, Jean Duffet, first created the concept of art brut or raw art or the outsider art. It is the creation of all the artists who have received no formal training in art, yet they show the talent. The work of 80 years Nekjan in India, biggest contribution to outsider art. He has made a garden sculpted with the stones and recycled materials. This is the world famous rock garden at Chandigarh. A UK based magazine featured Nekjan and his rock garden sculpture Women by the Waterfall on its anniversary issue cover. His art is testimony to what a man can make when he lives his dream. Nekjan says that walking through the garden and making people admire his work is his biggest reward.